Black magic.
You've got to know, got to show, it's time to roll. So just tell me what you want to hear. Tell me what you want, so just tell me what you want to hear.
Around, you got to feel like you pretty much know this character inside and out. I mean, aside from the fact that you wrote and directed as well.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely more to explore. In the first one, we establish like kind of generally who he is, what he's interested in, that he wants to get into the CIA and he gets rejected. And then like he's kind of down and out. He was working at a warehouse and he has these kind of headaches. So we focus on that in the first one, which is coming out like January 26th. So it'll follow up. And if people want to see Agent Revelation, they can. But they can also see it as a standalone, but they can also see Agent Intelligence, which will be like the prequel.
Oh, wow.
Because that was like kind of the pilot to this part 2. But you can totally watch Agent Revelation by itself and understand the whole thing.
Oh,
that was one of the challenges that I wasn't sure. I was like, how are we going to do this? You need to know enough, but not know too much.
Like you give enough flashbacks in Revelation as well, though, so that if you haven't seen Agent, it fills in those blanks for you. So, I mean, like you said, it can work as a standalone. Yeah.
So in this one, we delve, like part 2 is we really delve into his backstory, sort of like why he is who he is. Why does he act this way? Why is he, interested in, serving his country and helping people? Why is he that way? Right. So it's not just like, oh, I just want to help people kind of thing, right?
There's motivation behind it.
And then actually I'm writing part 3 right now, and then we actually delve in further, so which is great. So as a franchise, there's a lot more room to kind of keep on developing the character. But in this business, you just, especially nowadays, you just enjoy working and having a career, which is great. And this is what I'm enjoying doing right now. I'm at this level where I can enjoy being a filmmaker.
Now, so you talked about you wanted to get an action movie kind of out of the way. You did Super Capitalist before, Always as well. Now, is this a bucket list you're trying to kind of get through here when it comes to directing styles? Like what's up next then? What would be the next genre for you after you're finished with the sci-fi and action?
Yeah. Good question. I think sci-fi action is definitely where I love. I mean, this is my kind of element.
Right.
But I know that you can't, even if you're an action movie buff, I don't know if it's a good idea to start with your first film to do action, because it's not easy to do. It has to look good. It has to meet the level of, other movies too. And people don't know what you're spending. So you actually have to really be good at your craft. So for me, my journey has been more like, if the idea is really compelling. So Super Capitalist was like the first financial thriller linking New York and Hong Kong. It's kind of like that was the concept. And then Always was, for me, the concept was interesting because of the rise of China. So I shot in China for that. Wow. And both were craft wise. Super Capitalist was a thriller. Always has a little bit of suspense element, because I think that's important in every movie. But ultimately a character study, which is like no action. It's like you have to like the character and then see their development and then the relationships. So I didn't want to go and jump into the deep end of sci-fi and action without being good at those two kind of skills.
So it wasn't so much so it wasn't so much that you have like a list that you want to kind of work through the genres. It was what you wanted to work to that you thought benefited you the most as a director moving forward in sci-fi and action.
Yeah, for sure. I think you got to be, it's so competitive. You just got to be good. You get like Always was a romance drama. Like I don't normally watch love stories, you know. I don't like, I go to the cinemas and I like, yeah, which are we gonna choose, you know, like yeah, it's not gonna be a rom-com. It's not gonna be like, you know, because I
No
like to
Adam
be
Sandler and
entertained. I
Drew
like,
Barrymore for you?
oh, okay, maybe. I mean, you know, that's like, you know, that's funny and, you
All
know,
right.
zany or goofy, you know, that's fine. I still would not necessarily choose it over, let's say, I don't know, Batman or something, you know, like
Right.
if Inception was in the theaters. I went to go see Tenet. I risked my life to go see Tenet over here in Hong Kong, you know.
What did you
So
think? I still haven't seen it yet. I've heard
he's
it's mixed. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. I loved Inception. I was not a, Batman trilogy fan though. As much as a comic book fan
yeah,
I am, I just yeah. So I'm
yeah.
iffy on Nolan.
I think that if you're a filmmaker, you'll appreciate how complicated the film is, and he does it and gets it right. Is it the best movie? Is it for everybody? You know, I don't want to spoil it. I think you could probably know. I think you probably heard that you're watching the movie and you're a bit confused
Yeah. Well,
until the
because
end.
it's happening at two
That's, I don't want
different
to spoil
times,
it,
isn't it?
but
It's happening at two different times. I think they show that in the commercial.
yeah. But there's a lot of, yeah. I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah,
I think
no.
that's we need guys like Nolan. We
Mm,
need him because, you know, you do a movie, you need to advance cinema.
right.
I don't, you know, I think there's a lot of people that'll just make a movie like, oh, that, you know, it serves a certain market or whatever it is. That's how the general industry works. But then you need people like Nolan pushing the envelope, you
Because
know,
Inception did that.
trying to do it. Huh?
I find
Was that?
Inception definitely did that. Inception was one of those movies
Oh,
that just blew my mind, and I absolutely loved it. I haven't seen Dunkirk, like I said though, and it, I think the Batman movies, just for me, was just more of a. I'm a comic book nerd, so I'm a little more particular about. I still, as much as I love Liam Neeson, I don't understand why he was Raish in that movie when you had Ken Watanabe there. I mean,
yeah.
it's just little things like that for me. They, as a comic book fan, it's just the little things, you know. It's just like, oh, I mean,
Yeah.
Watanabe, like if you put him and Neeson together, I'm thinking Ken's a better actor, and that's personal opinion, but I just think he's much stronger and he's got a bigger presence.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, yeah, Batman Begins is definitely not
Mhm.
his strongest, I would say,
Yeah,
you know. Well, and the, you know, Nolan, as one of my associate producers said, you know, he's great in almost every aspect of film, and I would love to work with him. So, you know,
yeah, fair. No, I get.
in the action department, let's say, not the car chases, those are amazing too, but just even in like the hand-to-hand fighting, not the
No,
not the most, you know, and we're doing stuff about ninjas and stuff like that. So I would say there's areas there where he could improve, but you know,
yeah.
I mean, come on, this guy is like, you know,
You
he's
have to be,
he's a master. He's a master.
and
So
you have to be the
yeah,
smartest person in the room to follow a lot of his movies as well, though. Yeah,
yeah, for sure, for sure. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't hold back on that. So,
and I do
which
appreciate
is good. I
cerebral
mean,
movies. I do appreciate the cerebral movies like that. It's yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it though and see for myself. But let us get back onto your career though, and talking more about Agent Revelations. Comes out January 22nd, video on demand. We have Derek Ting here with us, writer, director, actor, does it all. Uh, what is up next for you? Like you've got the Agent franchise on the go here. What do you
yeah.
see in your future? Like what's your long-term goal?
Oh, I'm writing part 3 right now. We showed Agent Revelation over the summer to some investors, and then I got development money for the next one. So I'm almost,
Congrats.
I know what the story is, and that's exciting too because you know, Agent Revelation has 500 over 500 visual effects. I mean, set extensions is crazy, like 12 action sequences, just, it's insane. And then, of course, as a filmmaker, you always want to do something even bigger. So
Right.
that's what I'm doing right now. It's like spaceship battles that I'm writing. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Like I've never
No,
written a
what,
spaceship battle before. So
so
that's
how,
cool.
so how do you do that? Well, how do you come about writing a spaceship battle? Do you go and watch Star Trek and Star Wars, or do you watch do you watch 1917? Speaking of
Hmm.
Christopher Nolan, like what is the process there for you if it's not something you've ever dealt with before?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to watch stuff that is relevant to whatever I'm working on, for sure. Yeah, like with my drama, then I had to watch all these like, just pure drama movies, which um, like I said, it's not something that I gravitate towards. I appreciate, I like for example, like King's Speech is one of my favorite movies too. It's
Mm,
not a movie that I see the trailer and, oh, I gotta see that movie, but then I really liked it and it touched me.
mm,
So it's kind of like that. It's kind of like that idea. So then, and I try to watch everything. I don't try to just watch only what's the best. I always look at other movies too that maybe like had the potential, had a good concept, but then fell short. There's some stuff I obviously just cannot watch, but I try to watch stuff that, um, because you're looking at that, from a point of view where you're like, oh, what happened here?
mm.
Why did this not work? And that to me is like kind of the best way to learn, is like, why did that not work? I ask that all the time of every movie. So it's kind of hard to go to the movies with me nowadays because I'm picky and I get bored easily because,
You've
I'm
seen
like,
the
okay,
same
they're doing that
tropes.
again. So
You've seen the same
yeah,
tropes
yeah,
from movie to movie. I
yeah,
get it. I'm the same way. And
yeah.
recently went back to college for broadcasting and film, and that's the one thing they told us. And it's even worse for me and my family because we work in TV a lot as well. So I'm like, oh, that was an interesting choice for a cut there. Ooh, why would they throw the
Yeah,
lower thirds
yeah,
there? What's going on with the B-roll over here? And my family's just looking at me like, just shut up and watch.
yeah,
Totally understand that. Now, what is
yeah.
it?
I've seen some big movies. I've seen some big movies where I'm like, why didn't they just reshoot that? I
Right.
mean, because like I don't get that luxury. I maybe can do that a little bit, but I'm like, well, you should have just reshot that because that's overexposed.
Right.
If you have $200 million, you should fix that,
Yeah.
fix it. But
You're not shooting in your apartment studio without the producer there. Sorry. I don't mind taking the cheap shots at
exactly.
myself
Yeah.
there. um, no, I did want to kind of go back though. It's you said that you like to even watch the movies that had the potential but failed somewhere and learn from those mistakes. Where did you
Mhm.
learn that process? Is that something that you just kind of came up with on your own? Is that something you learned from somebody else? Is it maybe something you learned from your family in another setting?
Um, yeah, I guess you're always just, part of the industry is resilience too. I think that's, you pick that up by rejection, and so you fall down and you're like, okay, should I get back up? Should I keep doing this? Like even the filmmaking thing, should I keep doing this? I mean, is it worth it? It's definitely not an easy process. And especially if you're helming the ship, then you take all the blame and you're responsible for everybody, all those things. So you're always kind of just trying to self-evaluate and then get better, evolve, evolve, evolve. And I guess that's the kind of person too I am. Like I get a little bit in my DNA, I get a little bit like, if I'm too comfortable, then I'm can't function in a way. I need to do something else or like improve myself or something like that
So
too.
you
And
need
so
that
then that
challenge.
transfers into the work. Huh?
So
What?
it sounds like you need a challenge almost at all
Yeah.
times for yourself. Is that something that's
Yeah.
inbred? Is that family? Is that just always been the way?
I think I was actually I think up until my just right after college, I was pretty much just chill. Like I was chilling, I breezed through school, and I mean, I got into a good college too, but I wasn't really motivated. But I kind of, I was good at a lot of things, but, still wasn't sure. I definitely knew I liked acting, but I was like, oh, that couldn't be a career. But then, so I was in New York for 9/11, and I think that was pretty frightening in that I was like, oh man, because I worked downtown, and because I was a lazy guy, I was late to work. So if I hadn't been late to work, then maybe I would have been right there, because I was like right up Broad Street experiencing the whole thing. So it just made me think about like, okay, well, I actually might die tomorrow, that could have just been me. So that completely changed my mindset, which was, kind of looking at positivity out of negativity, obviously. But yeah, and that kind of set me on this course. Okay, I want to get into acting. And then when I got into acting, I was like, oh man, I'm taking this is kind of like a backseat occupation. So especially, I'm a person of color, so it's like very few opportunities. Easy for me to enter, but then actually to get to a level that I'd be comfortable with. And you really have to take things into your own hands and do your, do it right.
No, that's so.
And I think any artist, regardless of color, you have to hustle at any level. True. At any level, you have to hustle, I think, and it may be like, yeah, your producer's out, like you said, and then you got to do it yourself. But hey, but you got to do it,
I know. It's just like at this moment now, I'm looking down and I'm like, oh my God, the back half of my room is not lit over here. I'm like, I don't have the Rembrandt triangle or anything. I don't know what's going on with me today. No producer here. That's some inside jargon.
That's good that yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Now, you brought up something really interesting there that I really wanted to bring up to you and speak with you about people of color. And I kind of want to speak more of the Asian community, if you don't mind. Now, I know how hard it was. Like you said, it's easy to get into the industry, it seems, but to get to the level that you want to be, and I'm assuming you mean like at the, number one on the call sheet, not, always playing the stereotypical role in something. How are you feeling lately, seeing the surge in so many Asians coming to Hollywood and doing well lately? And I don't know what we have to attribute to it, whether it was Crazy Rich Asians or what have you. Right now, Warrior seems to be killing it on HBO Max. How does that make you feel? And where do you think Hollywood is right now with the Asian culture? Is it the most accepting it's ever been? Can it be better? Where do you want to see it?
Well, I think I think it's great that there's much more awareness. It's an issue. It's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. But is it, as an artist, is it something that that I care about? Yes. Am I going to think about it? No. I think I'm just, what I realized was that you just got to be it. If you want something, you just got to be just that good.
Now, do you find,
I don't want to tarnish my achievements by getting a handout.
Right.
I think some people, then it kind of takes away from what you've done.
And it messes with your own mind as well.
I think in a sense, like
it would mess with your own mind.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want, yeah. Of course, I know what the challenges are. The challenges are that, like, because I did it. I basically done all this stuff long ago. The challenges are that there aren't roles written for someone that looks like me, especially me. I'm 6 foot. I'm like 190. I'm not the supporting role guy. I would, if you sat me next to the leading man, then I might be even taller than him, and you don't want that. So I know that even if I go into the room, I wouldn't necessarily win it. But also too, my approach was that I kind of got out of the business because of all that stuff. Like I was doing well. I got commercials, I got parts, but I got out of it because I was like, well, there's just no way this is going to work out, But then only when I was in Hong Kong, so I was working I got a job at CNN in Hong Kong as a producer, like no previous experience. So I was very fortunate, loved the job. But then while I was, and I'm still based here, this commercial director lived next door to me and just asked me, he bumped into me, asked me, hey, do you act? And I said, yeah, of course, but I'd given it up. So, and then he's like, well, let me, send me a picture. I want to submit it to the client. And then after that, he booked like 2 commercials for me,
Wow.
So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to put you in because I'm the director, because these are big brand names. But he was like, oh, let me just send me a picture and then, maybe come in and read and do it. And then I got it. And then after that, I asked my friend who's in the business, and she said, oh, talk to these people. I sent an email, and then suddenly I was reading for, one of the main cast directors here in Hong Kong as well. And then I got a part with a movie that was with Kristen Scott Thomas. And then I had, and it was like pages to read, cold read. Hey, called me, said, come in an hour, called me and come in an hour. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just show up, that's what I do. I just show up and just do it. And then I got it. And I was like, wait a minute. I had one of those moments, a second moment where I was like, okay, you know what? I have some talent. Okay. Not necessarily the most amazing, but I know I have some talent. I need to figure this out. I need to see if I can do this. So that's why I got back into it. It's like, and then every step has always been about like, okay, I'm from New York. I moved 12, like half the world. That literally is half the world.
Right.
So if I'm going to be here, then I'm going to do something big. I'm not going to just, and I even though I'm working at CNN, I want to do something big.
Right.
Something that's my own. So
what was that like then? Like, was there any correlation or anything you could bring from your role as a producer at CNN to your role as an actor and director?
Oh yeah. Well, I was thrown into the deep end. I did a project for them. I through a friend, really good friend, and they were looking for a producer. I did a project. They loved it because I could edit and I could do a lot of different things already. Nowadays, you meet a lot of guys that can do a lot of different things. At that time, like I was already doing that, but there weren't that many people who could do it. So,
right.
Thank God for the timing, let's say. But even then, we were working with tape decks. And that was like beta versus, beta tape, and it was, different frame rates and all that stuff. So it was a bit of a learning curve even with that. But in Hong Kong, you end up wearing multiple hats. So like the producer is the director a lot of times. Sometimes the producer is the director, is the guy at the camera,
Right.
Sometimes they'd hire a cameraman for me, but sometimes you got to do it all. You got to edit it stuff. And then, and you have to produce for a major television channel that, if it's not of the level, then obviously you could not only like taint the image, but also like, they just won't accept it and you'd get fired. You have to be at that level to be there. And I think that was definitely a great training ground. Especially on the writing aspect, because I worked with an anchor. His name is Hugh Remington. Really just one of those great journalists. And I edited one of his pieces in terms of the writing, and I asked him, nicely, because these guys, I'm not an English major. These guys know their stuff. And he said, oh, well, this is actually really good. You did. He even asked me, have you ever thought of even being on TV? I said, no, I don't want to do that. And trust me, I'd be terrible. I'd be terrible as an anchor, because it's another craft. It's another skill that people don't realize. Oh, just because you're on You know, like it doesn't mean you're a great interviewer. It doesn't mean you're got what it takes for that. So it's just another thing to practice. So, but that gave me confidence that, oh, maybe I can write. Maybe I have some skills there. So all those things kind of building that confidence level.
And all of that kind of led into you being writer, director, producer, actor, a jack of all trades, if you will, a Derek of all trades, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and, yeah, and I have a great, so then I have a great team, so that, you know, if you do a lot of different, things, well, one is like, you know, let's say, for example, since I write the script, you know, I don't have to write the script when we're in production. I don't have to write the script, but I don't have to ask the writer, hey, can we change this line? I can just immediately say, we're changing this line, which is totally much more efficient. Especially if, let's say, you're in TV, you have to go back to the writers and then ask this, you know, ask that. How long is that going to take? But I'm right there on set. I'm like, you know what? This line's not working. So can we do this? Give me some improv. You know, how would you say this? Kind of things like that. I can do that right on the fly. And those are actually really powerful.
Especially for the talent, I would assume. The talent that gives them power or makes them feel like you've given them all this trust. Like, I'm the director and the writer, but I want to know your take on this. How would you do this? How would you interpret this? And yeah, like I said, it's got to be really empowering for the talent at that point. Is that something is that something you've learned though? Is that something you were taught coming up through the business at all, or is that something you observed?
Yeah, I mean, you know, because I've been in corporate, so we know if you have an idea, sometimes it may take you a long time to get it approved. Things like that. But then I think as an entrepreneur, of course, I know the traditional, like how things work and how the industry works, let's say. But I get to make my own film. I'm very lucky that you know, people invest in me to do the work, but not only that, they're not standing over my shoulder and saying, oh, it has to be this way. You know, they trust me to make these types of decisions. So that in turn, as an entrepreneur, though, if you look at it, I can break a process down to the ground. Like I don't have any legacy process that I need to follow.
Right, because you are the legacy.
Yeah, so I can completely throw, if I think it's something doesn't make sense as a workflow, then I can throw that out the door and say, you know, why are we doing that?
It's like having George Lucas on set.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, I worked in LA. I mean, we had, you know, there's all these like second AD processes where they might like repeat what you said, you know, and I was like, let's not do that. You know what I mean? Like, cut, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, is that necessary? Like, you know.
No, they want to justify their money though.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to their credit, like they're enthusiastic. That's what I love about, you know, the crew I work with. They're enthusiastic. They have great attitude. And they've worked in LA though, and LA has those processes, and that's, you know, you get noticed for that sometimes. But for me, which is, you know, I think out of the norm, let's say, I'm like, well, okay, that's just not necessary. Let's not do that. Right. I mean, I'll do the thing where, oh, this person's rapped and we all clap, you know, I'll do things like traditions like that. I won't throw those things out the window, but I'll be like, even to that degree, like I'll just throw out processes that I think are unnecessary. And I think that's how you save time, and then that's how you save money. So
fair enough. Now, talking about decisions, we've come to that part of the show at the end here. And I always ask the people that I have on, if I could be a genie, and I can only grant you one wish though, and it's conditionary wish, like it's conditional. So here's the condition. You can do any franchise you want whatsoever. It could be Agent, it could be whatever, it could be Marvel, it could be DC, it could be Harry Potter, if you like. What franchise are you directing, and who are you getting to star alongside you?
With no consequences, because this is
No
like a Wonder
consequences
Woman
whatsoever.
84
I mean,
question.
this is the genie. This is the genie. This is the genie snap. And I'm like, all right, I can put you, I can make you Jon Favreau at this moment, give you whatever property you want with any actor. Actor or actress, of course, I mean.
Oh. I think Superman.
Okay.
I'd do Superman.
Nice.
I'm looking at your Action Comics in the back. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been a total fan of Superman since like a 3-year-old. Like I was drawing Superman and Batman. Like, yeah.
Nice.
But Superman's the most complicated because, you know, he doesn't really have any weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to actually, what?
It's tough to write him.
Sorry?
It's tough to write.
Yeah, he's really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think because he'd be so challenging to do, I would love to do Superman and you know, make a movie about him and find. I think there's definitely still more stories to tell though, you know, about his character that could run deeper than what we've seen. But you know, I was a fan of Christopher Donner's Superman. I mean, that's like ultimate.
I had the luck of interviewing Colin Chilvers. I don't know if you know who that is, but he was the head of special effects, won the Oscar for Superman in 1978.
Oh yeah,
actually lives like one town over. He's from the UK,
oh,
but he lives in Fort Erie, just on the border. When they filmed Superman 2 at the Niagara Falls scene,
yeah,
he fell in love with a Canadian and ended up moving here. And
wow.
He brings his Oscar around everywhere still.
And he deserves it.
Yes.
He deserves it because they were trying to figure out how to make him fly.
Exactly.
Because no one had ever done that before. No. So that's like, and it looks good. I mean, it looks good.
It's one of those ones that still kind of holds up today. Like the special effects.
Yeah.
They still hold up today. So, we were talking about reboots the other day on my page, and because everyone's like, oh, everybody reboots everything. And I'm like, well, I'm 45 and I've always seen reboots. Like Magnificent Seven was a reboot of Seven Samurai. It's just the way Hollywood is. But I was like, I think if a movie had it had to at least have a great cult following at the very least, but the special effects don't hold up today. Yeah. Like if it's something you can't go back and watch today and get through it, but it was a beloved movie, I think those deserve a reboot. But if we're talking Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or something where it's still like Highlander, we were talking about, where it's like that's one that should be remade. That's something that should get a reboot because it's a great movie, great story. But I would love to be able to sit through the whole thing again, which I cannot anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I loved Highlander. I would totally do. Oh, Highlander was fun. I mean,
right?
There can be only one.
And then they made 3 sequels and a TV series.
Oh yeah. I think the Sean Connery one was like I like that one the most. Yeah, the other ones I don't think I watched.
Yeah, but, Clancy Brown was great in that first one, and I listened to an interview with Clancy Brown last week, and he said that part was supposed to go to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Schwarzenegger turned it down. And when Schwarzenegger turned it down, they basically gave Clancy the role and paid him nothing.
The budget goes up again, and so then they go out to Arnold Schwarzenegger because he had just done Terminator, and they said, we're going to get Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the budget's going to go up again. And Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "Nah, I don't want to play a bad guy again. I don't want to play a bad guy. I want to play."
So the budget goes down.
They're like, "Oh no, what are we going to do? What are we going?" I'm like, I think it's a great story. I would love to play it, but how much are you going to pay me? And they don't pay me. They don't want to pay me anything. And I don't have a quote or anything, but much of anything. So they pay me nothing.
Royalties. He's like, I still don't get royalties for the film or anything. So.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's why I'm like, I want to see it made it one more time. Put him in it. Give him and Lambert cameos in it or different roles. I would
Yeah,
love to
and
see that.
I think and nowadays with the potential things you can do with with action even further and CGI, then there's so much you can do. But everyone loves a sword fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd be down with that. And there are so many different people that could be in that movie too. And Ramirez, as much as I love Sean Connery, I'm sure we can get, a Latino to play the role.
Oh,
So many great Latinos
I
out
didn't.
there.
You know what? And that's how brainwashed I am.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even realize. I don't even think
Well,
about
and
it.
they
But
wanted,
then you
well, Clancy Brown even said that originally they wanted Sean Connery to play Duncan MacLeod because he's Scottish. And he's like, oh, he read the script and he's like, oh, I love it, but I want to be Ramirez. And then somehow they brought in French actor Chris Lambert, who barely spoke English at the point. Like, you're going to be a Scotsman, which was was all over the place. But hey, it's one of those cult classics. And
Oh
I feel like
yeah.
I jumped all over your answer. I'm sorry about
No,
who you
all
would
good.
work with.
No, what?
About the wish though. So we got Superman, but I did want to know. So who would you have play Superman? And would you be in the movie? And who would you play in the movie?
Let's just leave it at that.
I love that it wasn't Henry Cavill though. And no,
Let's just leave it at that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Derek, this has been a lot of fun. A long time coming for this interview. I do want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning to sit in here and chat with us. We've got Agent Revelation premiering January 22nd, video on demand. Yourself, Michael Dorn. This is a sci-fi action franchise in the making. Again, Derek, anything you want to go out with and let the people know moving forward in 2021?
Yeah. Hey, thanks. Great speaking to you. Hope people will check out the movie and support it. And then, it all helps because, I'm making part 3. So I'm psyched. I'm psyched to just see it come out. So, and and stay safe and healthy. And thanks so much.
Thank you. Great message. And it's great to be witnessing the birth of a franchise. So thank you for allowing us in on that. And to you, I hope you have yourself a great day. And to all the folks at home watching, this has been another edition of Ratg TV with Derek Ting and your boy Zeus. Wishing you all a great night.